Did you know that Steven Seagal shot himself on the set? He was choked unconscious by his own stuntman. So he has this Aikido training, and he claimed that he's immune to being choked unconscious. Yeah, apparently he wasn't. The stuntman choked him and he swallowed himself. Yeah, maybe that's why Putin likes him so much. Could Putin also shot himself? In today's Kremlin Files, we'll introduce a sensei and environmentalist known by almost everyone. His name is Steven Seagal. Seagal, the action movie star turned Kremlin mouthpiece and general laughingstock.
I mean, what I really want to say is how big and fat he is and how he runs like a bitch. But look at it online. You can see he runs like this. I'm not kidding.
He's one of the most despised figures in Hollywood. Wanna know why? Let me tell you. According to Mr. Seagal, his roots go back to Russia.
Father's a Russian Mongol, so I'm Asian. I don't know what the hell I am.
I'm a Russian Mongol, and I'm Russian. My father was a Russian Mongol, so these people are Russian Mongols, so...
And his paternal grandparents were Russian Jewish. The actual kind, not the George Santos kind.
I'm Catholic, but I'm also Jewish.
When interviewed by Dmitry Borisov, Steven claimed that his paternal ancestry can be located in the Siberian city Vladivostok, but also in Belarus and St. Petersburg. In addition, he suggested that genetic testing determined that he has Yakut and Buryat ancestry as well. Steven has been described by many in Hollywood as a pathological liar. He has a tendency to exaggerate and make up stuff about his achievements and his past.
I learned that kick, 40 years ago, or 30 years, 45 years ago, I don't know.
One of these lies is the claim that he was a student of Aikido founder Morihei Ueshiba, even though Mr. Ueshiba had died 5 years prior to Steven moving to Japan. Allegedly, he moved there to avoid being drafted to the Vietnam War by marrying a Japanese national. Seagal's first wife, Miyako Fujitani, revealed in 1993 that the only reason Steven was awarded the black belt for Aikido was because the judge, who was famous for his laziness, fell asleep during Steven's presentation, and the judge just gave the belt to Stevie.
Thank you, Sensei.
Fujitani also refuted Seagal's claims that he helped train CIA agents and that he fought the Yakuza in Japan. Eventually, Seagal returned to the US and quickly relocated to West Hollywood. He started a dojo during the early 80s, but at the same time tried to become an action movie star. Then, in 1987, he finally started working on his first film, Above the Law. The movie was relatively successful, and he was offered more work as the stone-faced action man in movies like Hard to Kill, Marked for Death, and Out for Justice. Who comes up with these names? His movies did well in the box office, and Seagal quickly became a well-known figure in Hollywood's action scene.
Yeah. You don't know nothing, do you?
In 1992, he achieved mainstream success with the release of
Under Siege.
But since his entrance to Hollywood, Seagal has been criticized for being, well, an asshole.
Who would have thought him?
In 1991, he was invited as the host on Saturday Night Live.
I caught these two guys with 3 kilos of cocaine. What do you think they were doing with them? Making shark for girls' softball games.
The show's producer and cast members called him the worst host ever and said that he's humorless and ill-treated both the cast and the writers of the show.
Is just the most awful person. Okay, now.
He also refused to do a sketch with the person who had previously said they could beat up Steven Seagal.
Is it me, or are you the world's biggest pussy?
Seagal was still relatively successful throughout the 90s, even though many of his films were considered failures and were published directly to video. In his own movie projects, Seagal tried to add environmental and spiritual themes by writing his characters' long, tedious monologues about the importance of environmental issues.
This is what happens when you pollute the planet.
The most famous of these horrible tirades was in the 1994 film On Deadly Ground, in which he played an ex-CIA firefighter, Forrest Taft. Let's watch some of it at quadruple speed.
I'd like to start out by saying thank you. How many of you out there have heard of alternative engines? Engines that can run on anything from alcohol to garbage or water. How many oil spills can we endure?
Please shut the fuck up.
In addition to films, Seagal has also made music. His first album, Songs from the Crystal Cave from 2005, is a lukewarm mixture of pop, country, blues and world music. His second album, Mojo Priest, is almost as bad as the first one. Steven also had various business ventures, most of them failures. In 2005, his company Seagal Enterprises started promoting an energy drink known as Steven Seagal's Lightning Bolt. Its production was quickly discontinued.
How's it going, baby?
Boss, I've got another 2,000 cans to go to fill this pool.
Man, I feel so sorry for you, but you know what? I really wanted to swim in Steven Seagal's lightning bolt with you.
Yeah, but you know I love doing it, because I love you.
I love you too, baby.
Lightning Bolt is a unique energy drink. It's the first of its kind. With 100% pure juice blends and is the only energy drink to contain Tibetan goji berries and Asian cordyceps. And it hits the spot every time.
What the fuck was that?
He marketed an aftershave scent of action and promoted a range of knives and katanas for Cold Steel. Obviously, all these products have also been discontinued. In 2013, he started collaborating with Russian firearms manufacturer Orsis, promoting its products and at the same time trying to get the US to ease their sanctions on Russian firearms. He wanted to design his own sniper rifle, Orsis by Steven Seagal, that would shoot accurately up to 3,000 meters, but apparently this never happened. In September 1993, a publisher known as Tech Magic announced that Steven Seagal would star in his own Genesis and Super Nintendo video game. Like so many of Steven's projects, this one was also eventually cancelled. In addition, Mr. Seagal has been involved in cryptocurrencies. In 2020, after failing to disclose payments for the promotion of Bitcoin to Yen, and agreed to pay a total of $314,000 as a penalty. Back in 1991, a group of female Warner Brothers employees accused Stevie of sexual harassment. The incident was settled out of court. Since then, he's been accused of sexual harassment by multiple women, including Rachel Grant, Regina Simmons, Fabiola Dadis, Portia de Rossi and Katherine Heigl. De Rossi alleged that during an audition in Steven's office, he told her how important it was to have chemistry off screen before unzipping his pants. Heigl and Seagal acted together in Under Siege 2, and according to her, Steven had told her that he had girlfriends the same age as then 16-year-old Heigl.
I had just turned 16 on this movie, and he said, you know, Katie, I've got girlfriends your age. And I said, isn't that illegal? And he said, they don't seem to mind. And I said, Mom!
I mean, look at these photos. What a creep. In 2018, Regina Simmons publicly claimed that Steven Seagal had raped her at his home when she was just 18 years old.
What seemed to be a bedroom. There was a bed in there, and then closed the door and tried to kiss me and took my clothes off, and before I knew it, he was on top of me, and I couldn't move. I just completely froze.
Seagal has also had trouble with his stuntmen. Some of them have claimed that Steven intentionally hit them during scenes.
But he's notorious of breaking people's arms, legs, ribs, cutting people.
Hell, listen to this. Steven claimed to one of these stuntmen, Jean Lebel, that due to his Aikido training, he is immune to being choked unconscious. Lebel offered to challenge the claim, after which Mr. Seagal shot himself.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Steven's political views and activism are, to put it mildly, interesting. On one hand, he's been promoting environmental issues and, for example, called Thailand to enact a law to prevent torture of baby elephants. On the other hand, he's described Vladimir Putin as one of the great living world leaders. And that's not the only nice thing he said about Mr. Putin and his country. Back in 2014, he expressed his full support for Putin's decision to annex Crimea and even appeared at the Night Wolves organized show in Sevastopol. At the event, he also depicted Ukraine as a country controlled by fascists. And later that year, Putin granted Steven with a Russian citizenship in a ridiculous orchestrated event. In 2021, the fake opposition party Just Russia Patriots for Truth announced that they are giving Steven an official membership card to their party. In March 2022, right after Russia had launched their full-scale invasion in Ukraine, Seagal celebrated his 70th birthday in Moscow with many guests under Western sanctions. Later that year, Steven visited Olenivka in Donetsk with former Ponzi schemer and leader of the puppet state PPR, Denis Pushilin, as his host. According to Pushilin, Seagal was also interviewing Ukrainian prisoners of war, thus breaking the Geneva Convention. When visiting Belarusian dictator Lukashenko, Steven was given 1 carrot and 1 watermelon as a gift. After receiving the watermelon, he commented, "Nice, nice."
What a fucking weirdo.
In February 2023, Seagal was awarded with the Russian Order of Friendship for his major contribution to the development of international, cultural and humanitarian cooperation. It was also reported that Russia has recruited Steven to teach martial arts to its soldiers, which might sound absolutely insane, but knowing Russia and how it operates just makes perfect sense actually. Seagal is a man of many talents. Serial sexual harasser, a douchebag, a scammer, supporter of Russian imperialism. But most of all, he's a pathological liar respected by absolutely no one. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Kremlin Files, and for now, I say goodbye to you, my friends. We'll meet again soon.